Greetings, folks.
Trying to post this link.
It's been this past week was a little more relaxing, a little less hairy. Though they did try to make it interesting for a minute, but welcome back. We took the bye week off. Just a lot going on with everything. And breaking news: Jameer Gibbs is good at football.
Did he score? I got him on fantasy team. Chat me up. He must have.
I think that so. We can go ahead and jump into this because we got a lot of people jumping in, ask questions. Bradley wants to know about the defense and why it's been so bad. I don't think it's. So here's what I will tell you. They have from everyone I've talked to, and from people I know that know football, like going outside of my own observations, because in a lot of contexts, like we have personal relationships with these players and all that stuff, so that can cloud it a little bit. But they have a little bit of a Jimmy's and Joe's problem with the defense, and I think that's part of the issue. You're not getting pressure, you're not getting home, you're having to cover too long. You have linebackers that are not as good in pass coverage, not dropping their zones correctly or misfitting on runs. You have guys taking bad angles at times, and all of it gets kind of exacerbated because they don't have a lot of eraser players. There's no Charlie Thomas on the defense that is so athletic that he'll make a play to kind of negate someone else's screw up, and everything gets amplified. So like, I haven't watched the playback but the free touchdown that Hairston scored on a long tight end pass, right? That was a bust by one of either the safety or the corner. Should have had that deep ball there, and just no one covered him at all. It's little things like that. It gets exposed. I watched a lot of games this weekend, and there's a lot of bad defense. I was at North Texas for the USF game, and so was it Calvin Hill? Okay, I knew somebody busted there. So it was the nickel, not the corner or the safety. Okay. I'll take your word for it. I just haven't watched the play again. Yeah, a lot of what's going on is, too much time too, man. Like a couple of the plays that got picked apart, it seemed like Drones had all day to throw the football, right? They're worried about QB contain. They're worried about the run game. It's like a pipe with a bunch of holes in it, right? You're trying to stick your fingers in the different spots. I don't know. What do you think, Alex? Like,
I just banged my knee. That's what I was just reacting to.
No. But yeah, I figure you have your.
The play we're talking about was the worst of both worlds because they had the bust on the back end and they blitzed 7 guys on the front end and didn't get there. So it was kind of like the perfect recipe for giving up a big play. But yeah, I agree. I still think that Gideon's trying to find the right combination of personnel and like strategy. Like he's just earlier in the year, he was caught between being aggressive and being, laying back a little bit. And then he's still, even in the 6th game, still trying to find the right combination of guys that can do what he wants them to do on the field. So it's going to be a work in progress. It was kind of like this for Santucci last year in the middle of the season. So that kind of gives me a little bit of hope that they're going to improve. But yeah, they need some guys to step up and make some routine tackles, like communicate on the back end, just kind of stuff that you thought they had figured out, by the 6th game. But 6-0 it's hard to do, and especially when you haven't played up to your best potential on defense. Especially, I thought the offense looked pretty smooth yesterday for most of the game, and probably could have been up 24-28 to nothing at halftime instead of that 21 to 7 or 18 to 7. I can't remember. They kicked the late field goal.
It was 18 to 7. They kicked the field goal to go up 21-7.
Yeah.
Right.
So Yeah, could have been
Make it
bigger,
2 field goals. Yeah.
but yeah, still trying to figure it out defensively. And Gideon, like we said, first year defense coordinator, so he's still coming into his own also. So let's give him time and not call him a bad hire yet, guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's 6 games into being a defensive coordinator. This is a little early. Can't keep playing musical chairs there either. Did Brent piss someone off, or they just locked in off the bye week? I thought they were healthy and locked in. It was interesting that they went for 2. I was like shocked when I saw them. Like I saw Haynes out there. I was like, well, what in the world are they doing? Like, um, that worked. I thought that was like hyper aggressive, but I think that was Brent's way of also saying to the team, hey, I believe in you. Let's go put these dudes away. And for the most part, they did. You know, they gave up a late touchdown, and then got off the field in one other situation that could have made the game more interesting. But, you know, that was as comfortably as they've beaten anyone this year in terms of a P4 opponent. So that was an encouraging sign to see. And, you know, when you play it, that team was desperate, man. They were talking smack the whole game on the field. There was almost multiple fights. There was some real close calls to things getting real chippy. And getting out of hand, and the guys kind of weathered it, and that's one of the things Brett talked about in his post game press conferences. He was like, you know, Mari Harvey's one of the king talkers, and he kept it in check. You could see him going back and forth with the 2 green wide receivers, Aiden and Donovan, and just jawing the whole game, and then kept it together. Didn't get sucked into them trying to get dumb penalties or whatever was going on there. So that was good to see. For those who weren't on the site, Amari Harvey, I'll answer this before it gets into it. Alex went on. He went on Instagram and just answered everyone's questions about what's going on with him. What did he say, Alex?
He said that the X-ray showed that it wasn't a broken ankle or broken foot; it was a dislocation, and he said he found out that he was double jointed yesterday, and that's maybe why it wasn't as bad as it originally looked. So he said he's got some hope that he'll be back this season. So that's pretty. I mean, compared to what we were thinking yesterday, that's pretty good news.
GT Bowhunter, I don't have a good ankle to give him. I actually broke mine what on that leg, broke that ankle playing volleyball in college very badly. So unfortunately, I can't. Maybe Alex has one they can donate.
I don't know. Mine aren't very mobile themselves, so I don't know if he'd want mine. You were talking about the going back and forth with the receivers. I think one of it cracked me up. There was one play, I think close to the end zone, where Amari covered one of, I don't remember which one it was, but he made a good play, broke up a pass, and he just like kind of slowly just walked in front of the receiver the entire time, all the way back to the line of scrimmage where the kid couldn't get back to the huddle. It was pretty funny. I think it was in the second half, but yeah, Amari's that kind of guy. He'll get under people's skin, and
No,
he
I mean
brings
we've
in.
seen him literally get into pushing match, not fights, but like with Canyon or like
Yeah,
Rivers or Eric Singleton back in the like those guys, Chris, Chase Lane. Like there have been many people to get into it with Amari because of his talking. So it's good that he's able to not let himself get sucked into the emotional vortex of the game. And Brent said that Harrison Moore on that play just didn't hear the whistle because he was like Harrison was like 15 yards, 20 yards downfield on that play. It was like a screen pass, and he was so far away from it that I had no idea they'd thrown a flag. And I looked to the left because it was like all the way down at like the 25 or something, and that's where he was like engaged with that dude. And he claimed that's what they said. You know, knowing Harrison, that seems likely that he just maybe didn't hear it because he was engaged with the dude or so far away from the play. But yeah, it was kind of funny.
I don't think he knew that the guy had missed the screen either. I think he probably thought the play was still going on. So yeah,
Who knows?
he's not a dirty player.
Brent
So
Key midseason extension. It's a dangerous game to play. Like you got to let the season play out. But Georgia Tech is fully prepared to do the right thing by Brent Key. That's been in the works for a while, even before the season started. That there was anticipation that there would need to be an adjustment in his compensation, and really looking kind of at the investment overall in football and trying to get it increased, and that's been part of the sort of task that Ryan Alpert has in terms of both football and eventually men's basketball as well. We got a question about Buster in the middle ground of his bag of tricks and being too vanilla on third and goal and short. Yeah, though I know the drive you're talking about in particular, where they just kind of got stalled out and ran the ball, ran the fake toss that got blown up, and was that the third down play on that drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, because my thought was that you should have just rolled him out there if you're gonna do something that vanilla, like roll him out, give him a run pass option to the tight end or a back.
I think the play at the goal line too at the end of the first half, where it was just a shotgun, basically like a power QB power, no misdirection, no anything from the half-yard line. I know the fans probably weren't too happy about that, but I don't know. They've blocked for Haynes at goal line situations before this year, and so I guess they thought they were just going to keep going to it and working, but adjustments will be made.
Ian wants to know about the Duke game this weekend to get to 7-0. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, in some ways, you looked at the Duke game a year ago in Atlanta, and they, in some ways, had a more complete team than Georgia Tech did going in that. They had some injuries, I think, at running back in that game, maybe. Duke did. You know, no one that's left other than Georgia is like where this. You look at it, you're like, okay, this is going to be extremely tough. Duke is a good football team. They're probably better than anyone they've played this year. Be interesting to see where Clemson and Duke end up at the end of the year. But by no means, I think it's a little crazy to have Duke as a favorite in the game, just given how well Georgia Tech's playing. But a lot of people bought into Manny's history, them doing well there, and the Mensa kid, the quarterback, and they have a decent defense. And it's Duke, man. It's that mausoleum thing. Like, I don't know how hyped the crowd will be. Like, I've never really seen a good crowd there for a game, so I'm curious about that aspect of it. They played flat at Wake, probably a better Wake Forest crowd. That'll probably be more people than Duke will have, so that'll be fascinating to me too, playing in a noon game. That place has always been weird for Georgia Tech. I remember in 2009, the first time I went up there to cover a game. I think that was the one that it was Bebe or one of them. Like, I think it was Bebe. Like, got up on the bench and was like yelling at his teammates, like, "This is effing Duke. Like, what are we doing?" Because they were like hanging around, and then they stepped them in the second half and beat them pretty soundly to go to the ACC championship game. That was the game that clinched the Coastal. But yeah, there have been some weird games up there. Most of them have been Ted Roof based. So now that he's long gone from the program, hopefully those demons are a little exercised. Like an exorcism of the Ted Roof Duke demons.
Exercise. You mean Ted Roof at Duke or at Georgia Tech?
Well, yeah, no kidding. He that was his one win, wasn't it? That one year was Georgia Tech.
I think so.
When he was head coach at Duke. But we'll see what happens. Every week's going to be a challenge for this team. This is not. They're not on the same level of gap of ability on both sides of the ball, say like Miami's playing right now, or Ohio State, or one of maybe the top 4 teams. You don't see that. So just, you have to keep that in mind. This is going to be a slog to get through the whole ACC, and you're getting everyone's best shot. Everyone's going to be geeked up to play Georgia Tech now, which is hilarious. It was like I tweeted out earlier. Brett Murphy had his top games to watch this week, and Georgia Tech was one of them at Duke. It's like, it's been a while since that's been anything anyone's talked about, right? Like Georgia Tech being in a meaningful football game that has playoff implications. We're going back over a decade now, like to something like that before there was even a playoff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I saw the. it's another packed slate of games this week. That's what you're going to get with so many teams, compete for playoffs, but there's a ton of huge games every single week. So my gut feeling is I think it's going to take some points to win this one. I've got a hunch that it's going to be a little higher scoring game. I don't know why. Maybe I know Duke's offense, their quarterback, they've been playing very well the last few weeks. So maybe it was a good thing they had a bye because they were kind of rolling after the early season struggle. So, but yeah, I don't know. 2.5-point favorite is kind of crazy to me. I don't know where that's coming from or whatever.
Well,
but
money's on Duke, I guess. We'll see if the line moves this week. That'll be an interesting
what
indicator.
was it?
Kind of.
It's already like it was at 1. I think like late
Well,
last
that was
night.
the early line.
Yeah.
Like before games were played this weekend. There have been so many upsets this year too. I think that people are going to start trying to play the upsets. I think a little bit as well. This is a question about 2026 kids. We'll get into that more on the site. On realistic spots, well, I can tell you because that's something I actually do track. Kind of the projections, anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 guys at the most they would take out of high school, and that's a stretch. I would say between 5 and 7 additional players. Depends on who wants to come to, man. If Aaron Gregory tells you he wants to come to Georgia Tech or BPW or something like that, then you find a spot. But
Or another Douglas County defensive kid that was there yesterday.
Yep. There were some interesting visitors though, for sure. There were some people that didn't show up too. Is Toby the plug and play star? Toby's started every game this season, hasn't he? At this point, I think so. So he's starting on the other side. He got benched during the game, but he had a rough day. He's got to get his head around, man. Like that's going to really aggravate Tech fans that he doesn't get his head around.
I think maybe
the PI because of that.
I think maybe Shelley started one game, but
Toby started all 6.
Oh, really?
Him and Harvey have started every game.
Well, now it's going to be
Shelley,
Daquan,
Toby, maybe, or Shelley and
I mean
Daquan.
that combination of the 3, or they, I don't know. With I guess you feel pretty good about Gilmore at the nickel, so you could maybe move Kelvin Hill back outside. He played. I think he's.
I don't think so. I think they would have done that already. You might see more like John Mitchell play. He didn't play Saturday for some reason. Elgin Sessions, someone on here arguing about how he was going to start at the beginning of the season, and hasn't really played. He's just been on teams. Trying to think of who else.
There was somebody asked on the board, I think today, about might have been on the questions over here I'm about to get to, but about Tay Harris getting some reps at corner. I think he's locked in at safety. He's not a corner.
No, you don't. You probably don't move guys like that. And when they moved someone, they had moved Pritchett to corner, and then Savion Riley got hurt, and so Pritchett moved back. And DJ Moore was banged up. He was finally back yesterday at safety. I'm just trying to think. It gets interesting, man. I saw this. I don't know if I said this on the board yet or anywhere yet. I saw Kobe Jones walking off the field, and he looked like he'd witnessed a murder. Like he was sullen, and so I think he was really shook up by what happened to Amari. So hopefully Amari's right, and he'll be back at some point soon, ish, before the end of the season. It would suck to as a senior to lose your season like that. It already happened with long snapper Benton, who's a good kid, and he's done. Can you get any of those time, and can you get that time back? I don't know. Like it's weird. People are suing over those things now to get eligibility back, so it sucks. My gut is that Daquan White starts playing more. You see, he's been the next guy up. He was the 4th corner, basically. If you've watched, they've played them kind of interchangeably. They haven't been as strict on one play on one side or the other. Because they had times with Shelley and Harvey, Shelley and Toby, White and Shelley. Harvey and Toby has been the main rotation though.
Next man up. Coach Key said it all the time. So
As by the way, so people ask about Brent Key and every job that opens up. Welcome to how it is now. Unless you're, there's only like 5 jobs where basically people don't pitch you for another job. Even at Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, gets mentioned for the NFL. Like that's just how this is now. So you guys got to just brace yourself for that. Brent's not inclined to do anything as long as Georgia Tech's committed to winning. So you can keep it in your mind like that, and as long as there's a path to winning.
Just reading down the chat here. Let me look at these questions.
Yeah, I like Sessions. I like Dalen Penson. I'm excited about those cats. Like, and this is maybe an opportunity to start to work up getting towards playing some of them. I know one of the things that Brent Key talked about early on was wanting to get to the point where you could play more of the young guys in the second half of the season. As guys get healthier, I think, and as other guys get worn down, you'll start to see whether it's Josh Petty or Elgin Sessions or try the Peyton Joseph or Christian Garrett will eventually play. I think he's been under the weather or something or dinged up or something. So, all right, I will address this. What I've been told is he's not done. They're hopeful to have him back in a few weeks on a kilo stone. That was sort of the limit of what I was told. It was not as bad as it looked. With a big guy, it's just hard to tell when they're comfortable going, but they're hopeful to get him back soon. So there's a little scoop for the YouTube show that I don't know how to put up anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, this is the story. My brother, so for those who don't know, I was born literally right off the Duke campus, and I have a brother who's 10 years older than me, and he went to middle school and all that up there where my parents were. My mom was working at Duke University, and so when Tech played a few years ago, he was like, "I want to go with me," and he's like, "Do I need to buy a ticket?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I guarantee you that we can get a ticket if you just give someone like a $10 bill, like walking in. You can sit wherever you want in the stadium." And so he came to a Georgia Tech Duke game maybe 10 years ago. And yeah, he like walked up and like he said that when he was a kid, like people used to stick him in the fence, like outside of the stadium, like they would stick their unused tickets, and then people would just walk up and get them. So yeah, it's never been a particularly tough ticket. The only time it's ever been a tough ticket, I was there, and I didn't go to the game, but I was there. Georgia Tech played Carolina or NC State this weekend, and it was the weekend Alabama came, and the Alabama fans took over their stadium and oversold it to the point where they had people back when it had the track still around Wallace Wade. They had people like on the track, and it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Was just all these like redneck Alabama fans just taking over. And I say that with love. I have a lot of friends that are redneck Alabama fans, but like they took over the stadium like in Durham and just it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And not even Clemson or any of them does that. And it was just like it was so absurd. They had like helicopters flying over and taking pictures of the stadium because they never had the stadium full like that. So yeah, and the Duke and the Wake band are always a little bit rough. I think Wake's even rougher than Duke, man. That Wake band was like, two like clarinet players and like two horns and like two trumpets and like it was rough, like 3 drums. The Wake band was pretty rough to watch too, by the way.
I was listening to the first part of the Alabama game yesterday at Missouri, and
No, I did not get my brother a ticket or a seat in the box. He didn't want to. He didn't like. He didn't want to sit. He just wanted to sit like by. He didn't want to sit with Tech people. So he wanted to kind of be off to his own. And I didn't think about that. I could have got him a sideline pass, I guess, but he would have been likely to like scream profanities at someone or whatever. Like he's a little more unhinged than I am. He gets really into watching football, so I was not. He just kind of wanted to. He likes to be by himself like that. Like he doesn't want to be in with a big group of other fans. So I think that was why. But yeah,
You were talking about the band. I was listening to that first part of the Alabama game yesterday, and I think Chris Stewart's their play-by-play guy.
yeah, yeah.
He said that the $50,000 worth of the $1 million band was there at Missouri yesterday. So I guess that's what the budget for taking a part of the band on the road in an SEC game. $50,000 worth.
The other thing I remember, so that '09 game at Duke, I was shooting photos at that point. And I had a writer, Alexi, who was my intern at the time. He was sitting in the box, and I think Deion Hill scored a touchdown or something. I think it was Deion Hill. He like ran over and like high fived me on the sideline, and it was on TV. And it was the first year I was covering tech, so all these people I had gone to school with just started texting me these like they'd taken a crude picture of with 2009 phones of like me getting high fived on the sideline, and the SID at the time sent me a funny text. He's like, "Why are you like high five?" I was like, "He stuck out his hand to give me a high five." I was like, "I wasn't gonna leave him hanging." I was like, it wasn't like I chest bumped him.
They didn't take your photo vest or credential or anything, did they?
No, they did not. But yeah, that was the other funny thing. People were like, "You fully bought into Georgia Tech, Kelly, haven't you?" I was like, "Yeah." I did. So I missed Paul. So that was the downside of. I thought might come up to the box. I'm gonna text him tomorrow. Just catch up with him. I felt bad I didn't get to see him. Rod did, and some of the other people saw him down on the field. I got to the game late. I was trying to do something stupid and went to go watch USF play North Texas. I'm on this mission to go to like every college football stadium I can, and I pick out 1 or 2 games a year that are weird to go to cover. So I've been to like East Carolina. Went to Charlotte last year to watch USF play because it was on a bye week. This one, because it was a Friday, I thought this Virginia Tech game would probably be a night game. And then my flight got delayed by an hour coming back. So between that and the construction on the downtown connector, I only got in the stadium about 30 minutes before kickoff. And so I didn't go down to the field before the game. But Alex was there dealing with everything. So, yeah, it sucked not getting to say hello to Paul, but I'm sure I'll catch up with him again soon. I haven't had time to even like message him, so I feel bad about that since the season started. But yeah, he looked happy. It was good to see him and O'Leary and Ralph. Freege, that's the first time I've seen him anywhere in years that I can remember. So that was cool to see him down there. Didn't get to talk to any of them though. I've seen O'Leary a bunch of times. He doesn't know me like for any particular reason other than maybe like haven't heard about me a little bit, but that's it.
I thought that was pretty awesome to have those, just to see those guys together on the field. And Bill Curry there too. One of my first college games I ever covered was Georgia State versus Shorter at the Georgia Dome. First game of Georgia State starting their program, and Bill Curry we got to talk to him afterwards. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, seeing those coaches together was a pretty cool deal.
Coach Curry used to interact a lot on Twitter with me, like a long time ago, which was interesting. And I've talked to him many times as well. So it'd be interesting. Yeah, the traffic was brutal. Like it sent me. I went by Mercedes-Benz Stadium to get to Georgia Tech. That's how it sent me, like on back streets. Like that's how bad the traffic was. I was like, ugh. Like I got off the interstate basically as soon as it connected with when 85 and 75 met, and like got off before I-20, and then was doing all that. Have we watched Duke? Yes. I have. I'm trying to think of what game I watched this year.
I watched some of that late night against Cal. I mean, they played pretty well a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I watched. Oh yeah. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, that was. I watched the first half of the game, and then they just dominated them in the second half, right?
Yeah, they put it was like a 20 or 30 point win, I believe. But yeah, I mean, their
Because Cal's
quarterbacks.
up, weren't they up like 21-7 or something early in the game? Or it was like,
Yeah, they were up. I
they
think they
won
were up.
45-21.
Yeah, I mean, it was like 14-3 or 17-3 or something like that. But yeah, Duke controlled it.
21-7 in the second quarter. Cal was up and then didn't score again the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing well. The
Duke's a tough
quarterbacks
out,
really,
man.
they are.
And Duke, they have some good defensive players. They have some good secondary pieces. They have, someone said they have a really good edge guy. Um, it's pretty interesting to see. We'll see how they look when who have they played too. That's where you get into all this too. Like Georgia Tech hasn't exactly run a gauntlet of games, but they've played pretty decent teams. Colorado's decent. Clemson's certainly decent. I'd argue Wake Forest is probably better than we thought they were. I thought they'd be terrible. They're turning out to be all right, but we'll see what happens, man. I'm not like this team can play with anyone as long as they're locked in. You saw that in the Georgia game last year, and this team I think is better than that team. So, you just got to play your game, not worry about it. But it might be a game where they have to score a lot of points. We'll see what happens. Obviously, NC State sucks because I jumped in on them thinking they were going to cover at Notre Dame. They had it going for like a half, and then just got smoked.
Oh shoot! It was 10-7 in the third quarter, and then like next time I looked, it was like I don't know.
It's 36-7, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Someone asked about the 2-point conversion. Brent said it was something they saw on film. Maybe they were like loafing when they go out for the 2-point or something, not locked in, and so they jumped in by having. It's interesting that you would think someone would be watching that to make sure like the kicker ran out and stuff. I mean, I clocked it, but I was sitting up in the box. Sitting up in a box. You would think one of the coaches would have yelled. Maybe he was hoping they'd burn a timeout there. Like I don't know. I guess the thought is if they don't change their personnel out and they have their field goal PAT there, you run the 2-point conversion or you force them to call a timeout, and then you run your kicker out. So you make him waste a timeout. He didn't say that was the theory, but I can imagine that's something that might go on.
I mean, it might have just been too like an early opportunity to kind of put it on Duke and kind of make them want to quit a little bit, I guess. Like it could, I mean, they're on an interim coach. They've got a bunch of kids going in the portal, and I don't know, maybe that 1 point's a big difference to start the game as far as having the motivation to compete.
No, they didn't do the swinging door or any of that. They did just a regular 2-point like conversion play. It was similar to I think it was a run pass option for Malik, but I'd have to rewatch that part of it. I don't know if it was a straight run or not. He said he was going to dive in. He did the Quay Cersei dive into the end zone. Yeah, the block kick does count against Burr's perfect thing. So it's now blemished with the. That was a really great play. That dude had his hand in the one spot where the ball was coming out, and barely caught it. You just tip your hat. That happens sometimes. Georgia Tech blocked a crap ton of kicks, so tip your hat, move on. I don't know if it was too low or what, but yeah, he's now 12 of 13 on the season, and his only misses from 50, 51.
It probably had to be a lower, trajectory because it was a pretty deep kick. So, yeah, sometimes a guy just gets the hand in the right spot, and that happens.
So Tripp hitting on something that irritated me as I was sitting with Alex, because I had picked Georgia Tech to not cover. I thought they would win by 2 touchdowns exactly, and it was 14.5 was the line in our picks, and they went for 2, and it's because of that. I guarantee it's because of the stupid book. It's not because of gambling. The stupid book that the coaches all quote all the time says at a certain point, if you're down a certain amount, you just start going for 2 every time. And so whatever that was, 5 minutes left in the game when they scored that one, roughly.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
right under it. Yeah,
and so, it is what it is. But like, I was so annoyed that they went for two there. I was like, what are you doing? Like, I was like, no, don't go for two. Just kick, because if they kicked, then Tech wouldn't have covered that. The getting six there instead of seven let Tech cover. But I'm happy they covered. But yeah, it
I
seems
am
like there's a
too.
lot of dumb analytics going on, as the tech man mentioned. This is you could write a book. Me and buddies talk about it. They were in the business all the time, talk about it. There's a lot of really stupid analytics decisions made every week.
I don't know about the being down 3 touchdowns, but I know the big thing now is being down 2 touchdowns. You go for the 2 point conversion the first time. If you don't get it, you got a chance the second time, or if you do get it, you kick the extra point to win the game. So, yeah, I don't know about the three
I don't think at
touchdown.
three it matters as
Yeah, yeah,
much.
that's what I'm saying. Like that didn't make any sense to me,
He's also
but
a
yeah,
guy who's been fired as a head coach that failed pretty miserably at Tulsa after a while. So you're not talking about like Frank Beamer or somebody that's some great long-term head coach has been really successful. It was an interesting game. I talked about the Penn State earlier, man. If y'all think a dude from Alabama is gonna move to Penn State, I got a bridge I can sell you in Brooklyn. That's all I'll say about that. Like, there's no way in hell Brent Key would want to live there, let alone take that job, which is a second tier Big Ten job. Let's be honest, Michigan and Ohio State are the two big jobs there. Maybe USC. Um, and then it really falls off after that. They're going to hire like a Matt Rule or a Manny Diaz or somebody like that, and James Franklin will get a job because he'll end up at like Arkansas or something because there's no one to take those jobs. Like, this was a discussion I was having with somebody in the business today. We were trying to talk about like who gets these jobs if all the jobs come open. Like, like if let's say Florida comes open because people think that one's going to come open, or like you get Florida, you'll have Arkansas, you'll have yeah, I think Auburn's not going to do anything, but Florida State might now. With Norvell, that situation's pretty untenable. Their fans are getting really pissy. They had a poor turnout apparently for part of the game too, from the students. You have Penn State, you have possibly Michigan could come open here. Um, those are big jobs. Like, who? There's Alex Golish. There's the guy at North Texas. There's the dude at James Madison. Like, you go hire John Gruden. Like, Matt Rule's having his first sort of like successful season this year. Like, who do you go get to like take these jobs, man? Like,
I don't know. Dabo might take the Penn State job.
by the way, Brent was with he knows O'Leary very well. He's talked to Coach Curry. He knows what it's like when these guys take some of these jobs that end up blowing up in their face. Like, so I don't know what happens. It'd be interesting if Rule got the job, because I don't know what the hell Nebraska would do, having to have yet another coaching search without doing anything. James Franklin might be interesting at Virginia Tech. That's like sort of the poor man's Penn State. You're in the middle of nowhere there too, with even probably crappier recruiting ground that you had. That's the problem with Arkansas too, man. Like, where do you recruit if you're at those jobs? Like, there's just not enough talent compared to like Texas or A&M or LSU or Florida, Florida State, Miami, whatever. Georgia Tech, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama. All those places that Ole Miss are closer to talent bases than like an Arkansas job. Or Virginia Tech is the worst example of that. You're not going to go down to Raleigh and Charlotte and get all the talent out of there. You're not going to go into Tennessee and get talent. So where do you get your talent from? It was they lived off of Tidewater and Richmond and all that, but those kids aren't going there anymore. So it'll be interesting. I don't think Alabama's coming open. I don't know what's going on there. He seems to be cruising along. I can't imagine he jumps. Dabo, what Dabo does is interesting. Does he jump on a job despite the Clemson people? It's a lot of weird stuff, man. Dion, the whole Dion thing, like does he start to get looks? I don't know.
He was in the middle of field storming yesterday.
Was it Colorado stormed the field after their
Yeah,
win over number 22 Iowa State?
Iowa State stormed the field. Yep. I was in the opposing press conference yesterday, and it was just when Penn State had gotten beaten, and they were kind of joking about Franklin getting fired and him like being the perfect guy for Virginia Tech. So even before he got fired today, so I don't know, maybe that's got some legs to it.
Kelly, our big bruising running backs, got 2 carries. You think more carries with late would be helpful to move the ball? Yeah, I think they're trying to get Trillian Maddox back up. Yeah, I think he missed basically what so almost 2 months basically. So he played 1 snap in the Colorado game and then he was out, and he started practicing a couple weeks ago, so he's trying to get back up to where he was. And they have Hulsley playing really well, so it kind of limits his opportunities. And that was not a crazy high possession game. It was like 60 offensive plays, maybe something like that. They ran, that's season stats. Yeah, I think they're going to start working more guys in. I think it's just a matter of time and opportunity.
You got a pretty good 2 going on right now with Hosley and Haynes, so I don't know.
Maddox looked good catching the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, he did. That was a little surprising to me, but I mean, he's a bigger back. He can make plays in space too.
Yeah, I mean, just saying Virginia, both Virginia schools are out in the middle of nowhere. Charlottesville is like a nice city. Like Blacksburg's rough, Roanoke's rough. Like that whole area is like kind of methed out. Go to the mall sometime over there. I did go to get something one time visiting VT, and it was a sight to behold. There was a Kroger from the 1990s in Blacksburg that I saw that was like something I hadn't seen since I was in high school. Like it was like low ceiling, like the diagonal cash register with the X scanner thing on it. Like just all stuff I haven't seen in a long time. People chain smoking, like walking up. There's a lady who like left her cigarette outside and I think came back for it, like put on a trash can. Like that's what's in that part of Virginia. Charlottesville's more of you're 90 minutes from Richmond. It's a little more like uppity. You have the whole Zima crowd and all that, and it's less. It's not as methed out as some of the area around Blacksburg. Virginia Tech's lovely, by the way. I've enjoyed going up there. Have really enjoyed my trips to Virginia as well. But
that kind of reminds me of Ole Miss and Mississippi State. It's kind of similar to Virginia Tech, a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I see that. Yeah,
more highbrow up there in Charlottesville, like in Oxford.
Yeah, people dressed up for the football games and the highbrow tailgates. And Ole Miss, they're dressed up and getting hammered going into the game. But like, is UVA for real, Alex?
I mean, I think they're pretty good. That quarterback's, I think he's good. They don't play Miami, do they? I can't remember. I looked at their schedule recently. I don't think they play Miami.
No, they have like a cakewalk left, Virginia, except for Virginia Tech, who I was pointing this out to somebody the other day. Virginia Tech has beaten Virginia like 20 of the last 22 times they've played. It's the most peculiar, like, fluke thing that makes no sense. No matter how bad Virginia Tech has been or whatever, they cannot beat. They cannot lose to Virginia. Like they just keep winning, regardless of how bad Virginia Tech is. Virginia has Washington State this weekend at home. Then they go to fight the fighting Bill Belichick's in Chapel Hill the week after that. They got a trip to California that could be interesting. Wake at Duke and Virginia Tech and Charlottesville.
Yeah, they lost to NC State, but that was a non-conference game, which is crazy.
That could, I don't know for sure. I feel like that counts though towards that tiebreaker scenario that someone was working up.
That would be,
because it would be a common opponent.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's weird. I don't know. I don't think.
Getting some love for Eric Rivers here. Eric Rivers had a really nice catch. He ran over the middle, he was going to get lit up, took a big shot from shoulder of a line safety or corner or whatever it was. Middle of the field. That was a great play.
He also had a wide open shot. Probably would have scored in the second half that Jackson Arnold overthrew him. So
that corner of the stadium, why it's empty, those tickets are actually mostly sold, especially for his last game. Those people all just cram it. The students, they all cram in the other part of the stadium and the other student section on the other side. So there's not really anything you do. That's always been kind of rough. I was an advocate of taking that out, and like they did the beer garden for a spring game one year down there, like doing something like that, just taking the stands out. But whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's saying the VT punter was their MVP of the game. Yeah, it might be. He was the one guy who was playing really well the first half of that game. Like he
did. He had some nice ones.
Yeah, Tech had some bad field position.
That play, that punt return thing, I've seen that before in high school. I've never seen that in college. The fake out the whole defense, and
we were all faked out. All of us were like looking at Bailey, and then heard the crowd roar, looked up and saw Rivers streaking down the sideline. I was like, "Oh, that is awesome." You got to think they would have told them punt left, punt right, right? Like that's one of the things you tell them.
That's what he said in the press conference yesterday. It's like they knew the direction of the punt, like the call, like he said that was a bad miscommunication at a bad time. But on that, you got to be very careful too, because in high school, I've seen like a team do that, but the guy that's like faking catching the punt, like accidentally like reaches his hands up too high, and they say that's like a signal, whatever, fair catch signal, so they end up coming back. But yeah, Bailey put on an acting performance that was impressive, and Rivers got the nice return.
Yeah, I was happy for Eric. He's been playing better, and it shows he's getting healthy too. And the other thing with Rivers, he missed the entirety of the spring, so there's been a huge acclimation period. I talked about it here a couple of weeks ago. Like he's playing a little bit of catch up. He wasn't developed as much. He was just naturally gifted, and so he's kind of learning what McKnight wants to do and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting.
Well, I finally got to the board questions. The first three are about Hugh Freeze and Kirby Smart, so I'm gonna skip those. I hope you guys don't mind.
I'm clapping, Alex.
That was one of the questions. So do a Kirby.
This is not a clap. Did you not know that?
Do a Kirby Smart clap. I don't know. That's the whole. There's some Georgia fans saying some stuff on Twitter that's crazy. Like,
I would like the giant inflatable buzz in the end zone. I agree with the chat, man. That thing was cool. I was trying to explain to somebody what that was the other day, and I couldn't find a picture of it.
Yeah, that was a fun time. First question from the board. If you had to put a future cast in the next one for 26, who would it be? I hadn't talked to this kid that they gave the offer to yesterday from Alabama, the 6'5" edge.
Jordan Woods.
He seemed pretty excited about that offer. Jack State commit, and I think some other teams are going to come around on him here toward the end. So maybe Georgia Tech got in on him at the right time before everybody else does.
I think I'll go with Tico Crittenton. I think they flipped Tico from the Knowles.
Yeah, that'd be a flip.
That one's trending the right way for Tech.
Yep, he was there yesterday. Still haven't got any recruit reaction from him, but
Tico's a tough nut to crack. It's been pulling teeth to get stuff from him from the very jump. He's very nice. He just doesn't like talking that much. You kind of got to go down and get him. Basically.
He was very nice. He was very nice to me a couple weeks ago when I was there, and they lost to Southwest DeKalb, and he was just kind of like, I don't really want to talk right now. They had just lost a kind of a rivalry game, and which I totally understand. Probably wouldn't have gave me the best quotes after that anyways. But
Ray's asking about holding stuff back on offense and defense. I don't know about defense. I don't know how much more there is in the tank. I mean, I'm sure there's some blitzes and stuff they haven't shown. Offensively, yeah, that was a very vanilla kind of game plan. They didn't do a whole lot. They were getting what they needed basically most of the game. There were just a few execution things. Think about like they almost scored another touchdown on the ball that got batted down to Scyther. He probably scores there. There was or he's down at like the 10, inside the 10, because it was totally lit up to be like a 30-yard pass to him, and the guy just batted the ball down. It was a great play by the defender. There was just a few plays left on the field, but there was nothing that interesting they ran, other than some of the ways they were using some of the counter stuff to get Hosley going downhill with the jet motion. But like other than that, like it was pretty vanilla from my vantage. Watch, like said, put out something tomorrow. And it wasn't vanilla, but it seemed vanilla to me. I don't know. Did you think it was vanilla?
I think that they just found different ways to set up the same plays that and I'm sure he talked about this yesterday on the board and on Twitter too, about the shift, the motion for the running back outside the box to then have him come back in on the counter, which is something I've never seen before. And I think Seth will probably have that in his
yeah, that was sort of the one thing I picked up on was that.
I mean, it's a different look that they haven't given, and it's basically running the same thing that they've been good at, just out of a different look. So that's what Buster's trying to do all the time, is get to what they're good at, but show it in different ways to where there's no tell for the defense to figure it out.
The Paul Johnson methodology, as
Yeah.
Brent Key joked about, they're just running some of his stuff out of the gun or the pistol.
Yep. There's a question about the Harvey injury. What we've heard, we talked about that earlier, so you can go back and read that. And shifting the secondary around, we kind of think people are going to stick to where they've been.
Yeah, I don't think they're, I don't think they're in a hurry to move anybody. They got enough bodies there to get through, especially if you get Harvey back at some point.
Yeah,
maybe it changes the math on burning like a Penson shirt or something, but
right.
That might be the only thing it changes.
Yeah. There's a question about says overreaction. Malachi Hosley is a better / more effective back than Jamal.
Depends on the circumstances, what the defense is good at doing and how healthy Jamal is. Jamal's like a guy who can think about the play reverse that Haynes threw a block for on him. That was just a really great play out of nothing. He can do that. Now, sometimes he doesn't cut up field when he should, and he tries to stretch it. That's the sort of knock on him as a running back. But when he's healthy, he's pretty good.
We talked about this, I think, earlier in the fall camp, and I think even Buster talked about this when he was with us, is they were going to make it an effort to use Jamal in a different ways this year to kind of, because he got absolutely beat up last year, and by the end of the season, he was kind of running on fumes, and kind of different injuries and everything. So, yeah, they've got Hosley that's effective between the tackles runner, and he's going to get a good bit of the load right now, because you're going to need Jamal. You're going to need all of them later in the season, and taking some hits off of Jamal, and like especially the in between the tackle stuff, trying to get him in space is probably a whole lot better on his body than it was last season when he was the guy and had to do everything. So,
so a year ago, he's at 73 carries through 6 games right now. So it's, half a season. Played 13 last year. He had 169, to put it like in context a little bit. So, the one concerning stat that you want to see pick up a little more is his yards per carry has been gone down each season. We'll see where it ends up this year. He had some games where he got bottled up earlier. We'll see if it catches back up with some explosive plays. So we'll see.
There's a question about is Savion Riley close to coming back? I would say no, not likely, but we'll see.
He's out for a little while still. We saw him on the sideline, which was an improvement. I hadn't seen him even on the sideline in a while, so he was there.
Yep. We talked about Amari, who replaced him at the starter, Shelley or White. I would think Shelley would get the first shot, but they're going to rotate those three guys between those
Yeah,
two.
and it'll be interesting to see if White pushes Toby out or if they start rotating them a little bit more than they have been. I thought Shelley played probably his best game at corner since he's been at Tech on Saturday. Someone's asking about Chad Alexander. So yeah, Chad still hasn't played. He's still out. The hope was to get him back this month. Now with 6 games left and him not having used a red shirt, it puts you in an interesting position because if you can hold him out 2 more games this season, you could redshirt him and keep him for an extra year if you think it's worth that. Now Brent's not going to care that much, but yeah, I don't know. So this was an interesting thing. PFF did not have Josh Petty having played in the game. He was on the participation from the school, and then some people were like, yeah, he played the series. A couple of guys on the board said he played the series where they were pinned at the 1. I haven't gone back to look at it, but if he was on the participation, then yeah, he played a little bit. Yeah, Ryan in the chat coming in with it.
Let's see. There's some more questions about the secondary. Let's see here.
They're having a discussion in the chat about the band traveling, and yeah, that's all worked out before the season.
Do they?
If
They
the
make
band
it
can't
shorter.
travel, can you bring a Coldplay cassette? I don't think any Coldplay music's on cassette, man. Like, unless they did it as like a ironic, like release. I mean, I got a tape deck somewhere in my office from many moons ago. I could probably dub down some Coldplay onto a little cassette tape and get a ghetto blaster and bring that and have bring Alex the game, let him stand up in the corner of the end zone, like say anything and like hold the boombox up and play that song going into the 4th quarter for you guys.
I could probably get one of those $10 tickets.
Yeah, you're not missing out on not going to Wallace Wade for a game.
No, I've
if they had a basketball like game or a scrimmage or something, I'd tell you to come up, but I think the run defense actually improved statistically after that performance.
That was the next question on the board. Run defense. It says run defense is last in the conference, and it showed again yesterday. How do they get this fixed? I don't know. Are they still last in the conference after yesterday? Huh?
So Georgia Tech was 100. What were they? 105. They stayed at 105. So no, they're still last in the conference.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was what I talked about in my takeaway yesterday. It still hadn't been very good. And when Virginia Tech decided they were just going to pound the ball at them and run the QB run game and those 2 little bowling ball running backs, it was a tough go.
Now they did move up to 34th in pass defense because Drones threw for like 180 yards in the game, which seemed like he threw more than that, but he did not.
He threw more
and
than
the total defense, which is the big one, they're at 65. Remember before the season, I said if you can get, what was the number? Do you remember, Alex, what I said? Was it top 50?
50 to 60, I think.
50 to 60 to win the ACC or to be in the conference championship game was what I said before the season. So they still have some potential stat stuffers left defensively to jump up. There are some teams with some offensive deficiencies remaining on the schedule for Georgia Tech that they could, like Syracuse has really been struggling, and Boston College has been struggling mightily.
Yeah.
So that might improve those numbers as well. And then Georgia's not exactly let people up either. So not that, but they're probably less successful right now in offense than some of these other teams. Why has run defense been bad? Because they've had misfits on plays, and part of it's been bad tackling too. There was a lot of that in the game. You know, look at the PFF that backs that up too, man. Where somebody gets to a guy, doesn't get him to the ground, and gets a broken. There's a broken tackle when it's a one-on-one situation. Guys aren't rallying to him to make the tackle or come help clean up. It's been a little bit of everything. You know, Drone's long touchdown. Eford got washed out by the guard, and there was no one back there at all to like catch him. So that's some play design, getting caught in the wrong alignments, the wrong looks. You know, it's a little of everything. We'll see what happens.
They Key talked about this. One of the, I
Oh,
don't
I
remember.
just saw your thing. I totally missed that.
Oh
Your tag
my!
and everything. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your
No,
train of
I
thought.
thought.
It made me laugh.
But yeah, Key talked about it. I don't remember it was Tuesday or Thursday last week, but when he mentioned specifically about Virginia Tech run blocking, and they've got to get off of blocks. I think he said the phrase was, "We've got to pitch a fit to get off of blocks." And I don't know, a few times I feel like some guys just kind of accepted being blocked yesterday, and
Jordan Vandenberg got tackled like 8 times.
yeah, there was some
Like
holes that
it
weren't
was
called.
literally like they called 2 of them, but like he was. I was watching him like he was like on the ground with like a guy on his back holding his hands on a dude's shoulder. It's like what are we doing like on a pass play? Like just throw a flag, like stop this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got to get better in that. They got to get off of blocks. They got to linebackers are kind of running up into the hole, like kind of reckless, and that leads to missed tackles. You got to kind of run up there and kind of be controlled and be ready to make the tackle. And they get a little over aggressive sometimes. And
Over pursuit, bad
yeah,
angles. It's been a myriad of issues. But then again, that gets back to Jimmy's and Joe's too. Like, and you have, you know, guys that still need to be developed, like that are playing their first serious roles, or guys with maybe like a, you know, just a physical, not. Oh, Justin, I appreciate that. That was the most Georgia Tech answer ever. Someone asked in the chat, "Do you prefer Georgia to have 3 losses when they face number 1 like they do now?" And Justin said 5 losses, and I appreciate you saying that, my man. That
Georgia should have 2 losses right now, and possibly 3, because that game yesterday
yeah, they
was
should. Auburn didn't play well enough to win that game, even with all the
yeah.
bull crap that went against them.
Yeah, they're. I mean, when they
That
couldn't
fumble
move the
play, that
ball,
stuff happens. Like
yeah, they crumbled after
they
that.
just that like yeah, but again, that shows you the difference between like a Georgia Tech. Like think about that Wake Forest game. Like Tech could have like easily mailed it in. Auburn just seemed to totally crack once that fumble play happened on the goal line. So
Yeah. There's a question about. We talked about the Franklin thing, but there was a question about their recruits. I looked up their recruits today, and 2 of the guys that have not decommitted yet are guys that Georgia Tech had offers to. So I don't know. I mean, you never know. They might. The
well,
offensive lineman Jack Fuchs, and then the edge Elijah Littlejohn. Those were 2 guys that had early
what
Tech
was his
offers.
name, Alex?
Jack Fuchs, Fouché,
Okay,
something like that.
I remember Elijah Littlejohn. I remember Jack as well from Beach High School, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at their list right now. What may be more helpful here is what I like to call the domino effect. As these guys disperse to other places, it causes some other guys to maybe not be in play anymore to school that Georgia Tech helps Georgia Tech out. So, say,
Running back position.
yeah, like who's their running back commit?
He decommitted today.
Well, I know they had the 27 kid. I'm not sure. Did they have a 20? I'm sure they had a 26 running back committed.
They have one that's still committed. They had one that decommitted, I believe, that's Georgia offered. Or was that the 27 kid?
I think it was a 27 kid that was really good. But again, this is like not a program that we know a ton about because it's like not they're not really fishing in the same ponds mostly. Yeah, it looks like the 27. They didn't have a running back commit right now, so that I'm seeing. What the heck? That's a safety. Oh, Messiah Mickens. That's their running back commit. Rivals 180. So Ohio State was recruiting him in West Virginia. So say that kid goes to decommits and goes to Ohio State, that changes like what's going on with Amari Latimer.
Or the other running back that was there.
I don't think Harvey's the green dot. I thought it was CP Lee.
I thought it was Eford.
It's not a corner.
Is Eford not the green dot?
It was
again?
either a safety or linebacker. They talked about that before the season. Let me look. I have to look at pictures now.
I'm pretty sure Clayton Powell Lee's said he didn't. He didn't want that because he thought it should be somebody closer to the ball. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it was Harvey. I have a picture. Oh, hold on. I got a picture of the back of Harvey's head. Oops, hit the wrong thing. Oh, well, hold on. While I do this, let's do some housekeeping here real quick. Do our section 103. I'll let Alex talk about section 103 for a minute.
Let me grab
you
my
feel comfortable doing that, my friend?
Let's do it. Section 103. I saw they just expanded to include a Kennesaw State line too, so they're just keeping on. But
they're going to turn into their own Under Armour.
Yeah, but
maybe in 10 years they can. That'll be Georgia Tech's next deal, section 103 gear.
But they started with Georgia Tech. It's the Tech fans that started the line. All kinds of good stuff, polos, T-shirts, the Haynes King collection, the hats they came out with last year. I've got a couple of them here that goes over my bald head very well, comfortable. They're high quality. You can go get them all in section 103. I'm sure that they'll have pop-ups at the games for the rest of the season, the home games. So good time to go get over there and get some or visit their website and see what they got. Always coming out with good stuff.
Yeah, that's it's awesome and cool people and all that. Hold on.
Yeah, so the key hoodies up there. He went gray on gray yesterday, which was different than.
Yeah, he's trying to mix it up.
I think he wanted to match the pants that the players wore yesterday.
You want to jump into another question, my man?
Yeah, while you're looking, here's one. It says, I'm hearing rumors of Bailey Stockton getting reps at cornerback. Can you confirm if he's the next Travis Hunter?
Oh, that would be funny. I love that.
Let's see. There's the question about Tay Harris getting reps at cornerback or Ja Gilmore. Yeah, Gilmore would be the one that has a higher likelihood, but he's been playing very well in the nickel, so I don't think they're going to move him outside for the time being unless it gets desperate.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's another one that is relevant again next week. What is Key's record when the ACC huddle is at the GT game? He's unbeaten again. I mean, they won another one again yesterday. So I don't know what I saw that last week. I can't remember if it was 7-0 or 8-0. But they're back at Duke and Georgia Tech this week. I saw that announced. So apparently he likes when they're there.
Is Mensa good enough to exploit the loss? I mean, anyone's good enough to exploit Georgia Tech secondary right now. They've had some busts. I mean, they're not playing lights out, so yeah, it just depends on what the game plan is for Duke and how they feel like they can attack. I don't, Harvey was the best cover corner, but we'll see what happens. There's not he wasn't Deion Sanders, and it's not in his prime. No pun intended. Amari's a good corner. He's not like he wasn't. You didn't lose an All-American. You lost a great team leader and a guy who's played really well for you. But I think that looking at it like you didn't lose Haynes King. You didn't lose, JJ Vandenberg or Keelan Rutledge. You lost Amari, who's a really good player, but the fall off between him and like the next guys up isn't as huge as it is at some other spots on the team. I answered this Kilo Stone question earlier. Yeah, he'll be back at some point. My guess is November, just based on what I heard, but he's not done.
I don't think that we're saying anything bad about Amari, saying
No,
like
and I'm not
he's
trying
not
to
the
down
biggest
Amari at
loss.
all. Like,
I think it's just like position wise, like he's further the closer you get to the ball. Like if you lose a offensive lineman or you lose a defensive lineman, a key guy, I think that's a
like
bigger deal
losing
than
a
a
Kilo
cornerback.
hurt them yesterday.
Right.
Like not having a Kilo Stone hurt them in the game more than the couple snaps they played without Amari, right? Now, if you have like somebody that's terrible, you just don't have enough guys. Like at the end of last year when they ran out of players, when Shelley got hurt and Toby and Harvey and
Everybody.
Warren Burrell, all those dudes were all hurt.
Yeah.
If you have a rash of injuries at a spot, then that becomes a thing. Like it's just like they lost Savion Riley, right? Savion was a guy that's supposed to be in the 2 deep. Now, if you lost CP Lee and Savion, then you start to have a problem. If Shelley was still out and you lost Harvey, then you have a bigger problem. But I think it's a manageable problem. Now, does it change maybe the way Gideon calls some stuff? Possibly. But we'll see. Those guys, like the guys are okay. Like even Toby, who like fans like to pick on, I think he plays okay most of the time. Like he's not been, teams aren't just straight up targeting him every single play. If he was that big of a problem, you would see that. I think Daquan White's played well at times. John Mitchell's played well at times as well. They got some dudes, man, to put in there. So I think it'll be okay. I think Braden Manley was never going to be Keon White. Keon White's like 70 pounds heavier than Braden Manley. Braden Manley the idea with Braden Manley was to have an edge rusher that could to create pressures and get sacks. He is getting pressures. He's not getting as many sacks as you would like. So he's got to figure out that production. He actually didn't start the game on Saturday, which was interesting. They started AJ Hoffler and yeah, and the guy who's been more disappointing is Hoffler. Like it's fascinating that people are as fixated on Manley. I guess the expectations were higher, but the expectations were those two dudes to be the starters, and Hoffler's not played well at all. Now he's been hurt. He missed most of the spring, but like there's a huge difference between the production of those two guys. Like Manley's been like 10 times better than Hoffler has. Hoffler finally made a play for the first time since he's been here on Saturday, getting a sack. And it's no shot on the kid either. Like he's been battling injuries, but I don't know. Yeah, and hey, dude, it's still time, baby. Man, I gave you all the stat. Was it in the show last week or was that on the website, Alex? That did the numbers thing on Manley. Do you remember?
I think that was in the deep dive into the defense that we put on the site.
Okay, so for those who don't know, or aren't on the site, this is like a whole breakdown on pass rushing and most pressures and things like that. And this is where it gets interesting. So, all right, I just pulled up all of the data on using PFF for this. You can use there's different ways, different people calculate these things. So ironically, Romello Heights now having the Kyle Kennard season a little bit at Texas Tech, which is sort of to be expected at this point.
I thought Manley played his best game yesterday. I mean, he had a half a sack. He had 2 tackles. He had, let's see. I mean, Yeah, he had half a sack, 2 tackles. He was in the backfield. You're gonna if you give yourself opportunity in the backfield, you're gonna eventually make those plays. So yeah, I could see him having a better second half of the season.
All right, so let me see if I can find him in this stupid chart I'm looking at. And some of it has to do with who's next to you and the scheme and all of that too. And so Ruben Bain was terrible last year and is pretty good this year. You just never know.
There's a question about any chance Tana or Stone will be back before Duke. Not a kilo. Tana was
addressed.
Yeah, he was ready to play yesterday. Maybe they held him back, but yeah, he went through everything warm up wise. And
this is a funny question. I think Eric Singleton's probably happy with what he's getting paid. You got Eric Rivers, Dean Patterson, and probably another player for what Eric Singleton's getting paid at Auburn. So the trade worked out pretty well for him. And he has Jackson Arnold throwing to him, which has not been great this year. He missed him up for a wide open, like probably 6 yesterday. I'm just underthrown a couple other ones. I feel, Eric's a great kid, and that's the thing people got to remember about him. Like this is sort of like the Gibbs thing where he made a business decision. There's no bad blood anywhere involved, like with Key or any of them. So, and the thing with Eric wasn't if he was Calvin Johnson and amazing and stuff, like you try to figure it out. Or even if he was like Jahmyr Gibbs level guy, like you would, in the situation that Texan now, they would have figured that out to make it work. For Singleton, I don't know why there was a bidding war like that. I think it's just based on his raw potential. But do you guys see a huge difference between him and Eric Rivers? Because I don't. I think Rivers is a little more sure-handed, and that's about it. Like Singleton might be a little bit tougher with the ball in his hands. That's the big difference between those two guys to me. But Auburn was in a desperate situation where they're trying not to fire their coach, so they overspent on a kid.
I think Singleton's straight line speed might be like a hair faster than Eric Rivers, but they're pretty similar. I don't know if Eric Singleton will be putting up humongous numbers at Georgia Tech this year either. It's been spread out.
Numbers like Rivers would be similar or a little bit less. Like it would probably be that much different. You might have a little more chemistry there with King just from them having played together for 3 years at that point. So the other thing with Manley, I think they're playing him at the wrong position. I've said this for a while. He should be playing rush, and he's playing defensive end. That's a personnel-driven problem. They think he's the best option at defensive end, so they're playing him out of position. They actually switched it up and played Hoffler at some end yesterday, and Bradford standing up, and that was a little bit better. But that was what I expected them to do, and they've done the opposite, and I don't really know why. And that's kind of an off-season kind of question. I can't get into the weeds like that with sources about why they're doing that right now. Luke Harpering looks impressive catching the ball. He improved his blocking enough to be on the field. It's not necessarily blocking. Sometimes he's just apparently missing assignments. Like it's more about that than it is like his performance issue. It's just like getting the experience enough to execute every call. So you can't. You remember like 2 years ago when Seidler would come in, you knew they were going to throw the ball to him because he came in the game. You can't have it be like that when you bring in Harpering. So unless you want to use it as a misdirection.
He looked good yesterday, though. He had some nice catches out of the backfield, and he ran over a couple of guys.
Yeah.
He put a hurting on a couple of defensive backs. The last question on here is about the linebacker play, and then specifically linebackers in coverage. I don't know if somebody talked about it today about the linebackers trying to figure out. It might have been said, I don't know, about linebackers not dropping deep enough in the cover two, and they've got to get that figured out.
Yeah, he's been pointing that out every week in his film stuff that he puts up on the site, that the drops are too shallow, probably because they're worried about QB runs or whatever. They're trying to cheat, and that's opening up those lanes for the intermediate passing to receivers crossing or tight end or whatever. And they got hit on that quite a few times on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, the thing you got, going back to the defensive ends thing, because it's on my mind now. Like, the situation there is just, you got a lot of young guys, right? Like, so you have Dre Fuller, you have Amontre Bradford, who's in his second year in the program. Fuller's a true freshman. Christian Garrett. They're going to be a lot different as these guys get more developed. The the growth potential of those guys is exponential, but they're not there. They whiffed on so many defensive linemen at the end of Jeff's tenure, and then the first year Brent was there, the guys took like some in the interim phase. They took some terrible guys that are all out of the program now, basically. And so they're kind of playing some catch up there. That was also, I think, why Brent made major changes, if you remember, on that defensive line staff from when he got hired. He's changed it out until he got to Jess and Kyle, who he believes in what they're doing and how they're developing guys. So you just gotta give them time. That's not a position that you snap your fingers and it's suddenly going to be improved unless you just have a boatload of money. And if I were a betting man, that's where I think Georgia Tech will spend their big free agency money, if you want to use a NFL or baseball term.
Or NIL money in the to close out the 2026 class, probably.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little A, a little B.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What are you thinking this weekend, Alex, for Duke?
I don't know. Like I said, I think it's going to be a game where they have to score a good amount of points. I don't know, early score, maybe in the 40s. I think it's going to be that kind of game. I
I
don't
think the
know.
weather's supposed to be good.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll eat spaghetti before the game this weekend. That might have some effect, but yeah, I could see a 45-42 or something score like that.
They're going to have like a turkey Thanksgiving dinner to really mash potatoes and stuff in to get them like really geeked up for that noon kickoff against Duke.
Yep.
Now they got to start fast, man. It'll be interesting. Manny Diaz is now auditioning for his next job too. So with all these jobs opening up, he's going to get one if he wants it. This will get real interesting. There's something to keep in mind as all these rumors start. Is there's a lot of coaches looking around and realizing that maybe it's not a good idea to jump jobs. There's been so much acrimony with some of the ways these jobs have played out for people. So, that's something else to keep in mind. Don't get like all in a panic about Brant Key. This is not the time for him to jump ship. You can put it that way. Like, he hasn't accomplished any of the things he wants to accomplish yet at Georgia Tech. He believes this is a place where he can win a national championship. He truly does. Like, that is from a place of honesty with Brent Key. So don't let the trolls get you on Twitter or whatever worked up. You see, I got an email while we were on air from somebody from like a national media thing with his list of candidates for Penn State, and Brent was on there. And it's just like, there's a greater chance he'd be the next head coach at USC than Penn State, in my opinion, and that ain't happening either. Like, and I'm not talking about South Carolina. I'm talking about the real USC. Duke does not have Dusty. Duke is not known for their football crowd. Just maybe Google a picture of Wallace Wade Stadium.
They're not camping out to get tickets like they are for Krzyzewskiville.
No, my theory for years, I told this to Alex, was that they needed to make, if you wanted basketball tickets and you were a student there, you had to attend like at least the first half of the whole game. Like, yeah, Dusty, there will be no traffic driving into Durham. Like, I have left my hotel and been there in less time than it told me the previous day, like during normal daytime hours, to drive to the stadium. It is not It's not a hard ticket, a hard place to get into. People are very friendly. Durham's nice. But it's like Wake Forest or a lot of these others. It's just not like, it's not going to be, like playing at UGA or something. You could Uber, you could park. It depends on where you're staying. We're getting into the weeds now. Depends on how close you stay to, but you can get an Uber there. It's not going to be like, you're not going to get a gangster Uber, like trying to leave Shaky Knees Festival or something to go back to your house.
Yeah.
Folks, thank you. Appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. We will be back next week. Hopefully, my sick child doesn't get me sick, and Alex doesn't get called into action tomorrow. Only running a slight fever since being home, so that's exciting.
Yep.
For the odds that I get sick. So
take your vitamins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take some what is it, zinc and
drink some
elderberry syrup and whatever else.
Drink some orange juice.
I made a big pot of chicken noodle soup just as a preemptive measure. Oh, Ken asked a basketball question on answers real quick. Damon seems bullish on this team and Ramsey on his. Could this be the best sports year you covered at Tech? Yeah, I mean, if they get it going, yeah. 09 was pretty good because you had 09-10, you had the basketball team that ended up going to the tournament, to the second round with Favors and Amon and all them. And you had the ACC championship, so that was pretty good. So hopefully, I mean, I want to go cover a College World Series. I want to, it's on a bucket list thing for me. I want to, go cover an NCAA tournament where I'm not in a weird COVID bubble and actually be there for more than one game. Like, those are all things I would like to see. So I hope so, Ken. It would be great. Damon's a good dude. I hope he figures it out. If he doesn't, at least he's pretty short, I think, with the new AD and a buyout that's less than Georgia Tech spends on spaghetti for per-game meals for football. So appreciate everybody.
Yeah, I'll be at fall ball baseball this Friday, so I'll get to up close look at them. So that'll be a little more questions answered about baseball before they go into the spring. So
thanks everybody. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.